ganon kabagal ngayon. Ganda pa naman talaga nitong kantang ito. Sana dire-diretso na siya. Sa lahat ng hanggang sa bawat araw ay tapat kong magmahal. Ang iyong kaawaan ay magpawalang hanggan. Ay buti-buti mo, Panginoon, sa lahat ng sinasamba kita, Diyos at Panginoon. Tunay ngang ika'y di nagbabago, na sa amin nagmamahal. Sinasamba kita, dakilang Diyos at Panginoon. Tunay ngang ika'y di nagbabago, na sa amin nagmamahal. Buti mo, Panginoon, sa lahat ng oras, sa bawat araw, ika'y laging tapat kong magmahal. Ang kaawaan ay magpawalang hanggan. Nupuri, sinasamba kita, dakilang Diyos at Panginoon. Tunay ngang ika'y di nagbabago, dakilang Diyos na sa amin nagmamahal. Pinupuri, sinasamba kita, dakilang Diyos at Panginoon. Tunay ngang ika'y walang katulad, tunay ngang ika'y di nagbabago, mabuting Diyos na sa amin nagmamahal. Nang ika'y walang katulad, tunay ngang ika'y di nagbabago, mabuting Diyos na sa amin nagmamahal. Na sa amin nagmamahal. Mabuting Diyos na sa amin nagmamahal. Ayan, 'di ba? Tunay ngang napakabuti ng Diyos sapagkat hanggang ngayon tayo ay kasama ng ating buong pamilya ay tayo ay patuloy niyang inililigtas sa ganitong pandemya. Okay? So stay safe everyone at lagi nating isaisip na sobrang buti ng Diyos. Okay? So ngayong umagang ito, For week 3 of statistics and probability, we are almost done discussing the discrete random variable. So if you can still remember, di ba, may 2 types ng random variables. We have the discrete and the continuous. Okay? So yung first and second week natin, almost ang tinutukoy lahat doon ay about discrete random variable. So remember that when we talk of discrete random variable, ito po yung lahat na na-obtained through counting. Okay, kaya kung mapapansin niyo lahat ng examples natin, rolling a die, flipping a coin, getting a card from an ordinary deck of cards, all of those are examples of discrete random variables. So this time po, let me share with you yung PowerPoint na inihanda ko ngayon. Actually, we have 3 modules for this morning. So yung first 2 po is just a continuation of discrete random variables. So 2 modules na lang po para sa continuous as a discrete random variable. And then after that, the last module will deal on continuous random variable. So welcome again to week 3 of statistics and probability. So as I have mentioned a while ago, we have 3 modules for this morning. So the first 2 modules, we have interpreting the mean and the variance of a discrete random variable. And let me share with you the objectives to be attained after this session. So the first objective is that you need to interpret the mean and the variance of a discrete random variable. So kung matatandaan ninyo lahat last time, it's more on computation. Ano po? This time we need to interpret anong ibig sabihin ng value na to, ng mean na to, expected value. If this will be the case, what does it mean if we have this kind of variance or the standard deviation? Then, you need to recall and apply the formulas for the mean, variance, and standard deviation of a discrete random variable. Of course, before kayo makapag-compute, you need to recall and apply the formulas that we had last time. Ano po? Yung 3 formulas natin for the expected value or the mean, and then the variance and the standard deviation. And the second module, which is the last module for discrete random variables, is entitled Solving Problems Involving Mean and Variance of Probability Distributions. So kinumbine ko na po itong 2 modules na to kasi that is just a continuation. Wait lang po at may nagpapa-admit. Okay, si Sofia. Yeah. So we have 3 objectives, I think. First, you need to calculate the mean and the variance, just like yung kanina natin. And we will try to solve real-life problems involving mean and variance of probability distributions. Although yung mga examples na natin last time ay yung flipping a coin, ginagawa natin, pero not exactly na meron siyang application to real life natin. Ano po? And then lastly, you need to interpret the expected value of a discrete random variable. So to start this session, let us try first to recall the 3 formulas that we had last time. So anybody here who wants to mention or to give or to state the first formula na natatandaan ninyo with last week's discussion?
Ma'am.
Kindly mention your name po. Sino ito? Miguel? Voltaire?
Yes po.
Okay, go Voltaire.
Lahat po ba, ma'am?
Just give one. But if you want, pwede mo nang ibigay yung 3.
Expected value or mean, variance, NSD, standard deviation.
Okay. How about the formula for finding the expected mean, expected value or the mean?
Expected value po ay mahaba po yun, ma'am eh.
Ay, yung maikling version niya. Di ba meron sa dulo ng maikling version? Anong mas gusto mo? Yung mahaba o yung maikli?
Yung maikli po ba yung may summation?
Yes po.
Ma'am, pwede ka po isulat?
Sige. Annotate mo na lang. Bakit hindi mo ma-mention? Hindi mo ma-translate into words.
Ilan po?
Sige lang. Dito mo ba i-annotate, anak? Sa slide na to?
Yes po.
Sige. Angel? Angel Asagra?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Ayan.
ma'am.
Anak, you want to annotate naman the formula in finding the variance?
Sige po.
Sige. And then, magde-debut sa Friday, Ate Alec. Advance happy birthday, Ate Alec. Ate Alec, nandyan ka? Ate Alex, sa'yo yung standard deviation.
Okay.
Daphne, nandyan ba si Alec?
Opo, ma'am. Hindi lang po siya naka-open po ng mic. Ay, pero ma'am, hindi ko po siya kanina.
Ate Alec, ikaw mag-annotate nung sa standard deviation.
Sige po.
Okay. Para mga grade 1 lang magsulat, no? Ate Alec, kahit yung maikli na lang na version yung sa'yo. Since naisulat na naman ni Angel yung yung formula for the variance. Akala ko, Voltaire, akala ko yung short version ang gusto mo. Mahaba din palang sinulat mo.
Yung short version naman po yung mahirap.
Bakit mahirap?
Ito na lang po.
Ayan. Thank you, Ate Alec, and thank you, Angel. So that's correct. Okay, so go on, Voltaire. You make that as the na lang, the last. Ayan, okay na yan, Voltaire. Ayan. So kung naintindihan niyo po yung sinulat ni Voltaire, it's just if you have several values of the random variable, kaya may x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3, up to x sub n, kung ilan man yung values ng random variable natin, you need to multiply that by its corresponding probability. And the sum of that will be the expected value or the mean. Ano po? So yung short version niyan actually ay yung may summation, and that is read as summation of x sub I times the probability of x. Yan. So yun po yung sa mean natin. While the standard deviation, the variance, it's the summation of the product of the square of x and the corresponding probability minus the square of the mean. And once na nahanap nyo na po yung variance, pwede nyo nang kunin ang standard deviation by just getting the square root of that. Ano po? Yan. So yun yung mga mahalagang formula. Ito yung sinusulat kanina ni Voltaire na mahaba ha. Yan. So in short po, ito na lang siya. Okay? So pag sa naman, yung kay Angel kanina and then kay Ate Alex, pagka pinahaba natin, yan po yung magiging formula. So yung shortcut version lang po nun is just finding the square root of the variance. So you need to recall these three formulas in order for us to solve and afterwards interpret the value of the expected value, the standard deviation, and the variance. Okay, let's have this activity, which is entitled as, what's the formula? So I have here 4 formulas. Yan. Then you have to choose which one will you use in the given situation that will be flashed. Okay po? So, any volunteer for this? Situation 1. I am thinking of finding the average number of heads that would appear if I will toss 2 coins together twice. Which formula should I use? Any volunteer for this? Ano kaya sa palagay ninyo? Alin kaya sa palagay ninyo? O you'll just mention if it is A, B, C, or D based on the situation. Sa palagay ninyo, mga anak.
Ma'am,
Sige po, Daphne.
A po.
A. What made you decide that for situation 1, you will use formula A? Did you have any clues dun sa situation na binigay?
Yung ang pinaka-napansin ko lang po yung word na average number.
Yan. Thank you so much for that. Yung word na find the average number, that will tell you na ang kailangang hanapin ay mean or the expected value. Thank you for that, Daphne. So yun lang po ha. Kapag ka may given situation, kailangan ninyong tingnan dun sa problem, ano yung mga keywords ninyo para gamitin yung mga formula na pinag-aralan. So again, pagka ang nabasa po ninyo sa problem ay may average number, then you only need to use the formula for the expected value or the mean. Okay? Ayan. Tanggalin ko lang yung annotation natin. Okay, so that's correct, Daphne. So we will be using formula letter A. Okay, let's have situation number 2. I went to the grocery store and I noticed that there are 5 different kinds of brown sugar at different prices. Each brand has different probabilities that they will be sold. What formula should I use if I want to determine how the prices vary from the average price of the product that would be sold to the customers repeatedly? So alin kaya sa palagay ninyo ang tamang formula for situation number 2? Is it B, C, or D? Anybody? Any volunteer? Magtatawag ba ako? Si Kirby, nandyan?
Dito po.
Ayan. Kirby, sa palagay mo, alin ang tamang formula para sa situation number 2?
Sa tingin ko po ay yung variance po, letter B. Gawa po
Yung-
nung solve po doon sa customers repeatedly. Hindi ko po sure. Pero letter B po.
Oh, letter B daw, sabi ni Kirby. Author, ikaw anak, sa palagay mo, alin? Para sa'yo?
Letter C po.
Letter C, magkaiba sila ng idea. Tanungin ko nga ulit si Kirby. Kirby anak, what made you decide to use formula letter B for situation number 2?
Doon po kasi sa variance, naalala ko po yung spread ng number. Tapos nakita ko po yung repeatedly. Pero hindi ko po sure. Yun po yung
Okay,
pinagbasehan.
Okay, no problem. How about you, author? Bakit yung C ang napili mo?
Guess lang po, ma'am.
Guess lang. Okay. So, walang problema kung nag-guess. Let's have Josh de Torres. Anak, ikaw, sa palagay mo,
Yes po.
alin sa palagay mo? Si Kirby ay B, si author ay C. Ikaw, gusto mo mag-D? Wild guess din lang, Josh. Alin sa palagay mo ang formula that is suited for situation number 2?
Formula B po.
Formula B din. Dalawa na. Sa B. Sofia, ikaw, anak. Sofia Marquez. Sa palagay mo, anak. Sofia. Ayan. So, ina-underlinean ko po yung yung keywords natin dito. Okay? So, if you want to find how the prices or how the scores vary from the average price, ibig sabihin, yung price nung certain item na yon, gaano siya kalayo from the average price. Ano po? Since we are trying to find the how spread the price of the sugar from the average price, then we will be using formula letter D. Yan. Si D po ang mas tamang gamitin natin for this situation. Ano po? Yan. Although sabi natin, the variance is also a measure of spread. Okay? Pero since dito, from the average price, connected siya sa average price, it's better to use the standard deviation kapag yun po yung tinutukoy natin. Okay? So yun yung mga kailangan ninyong matandaan ha. Okay. So as we continue, let's have learning task number 2. So paki-screenshot nyo po ito ha, or makikita nyo din naman to sa module na ibibigay ko. Okay? So suppose an unfair die is rolled. When we say unfair die, hindi siya yung equally likely na yun yung laging yung lalabas. Ano po? So kung mapapansin niyo, ayan po. So let X be the outcomes or be the values of the random variable. Nandiyan si 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yun yung mga dots sa die. And then this one are the probabilities. So kung mapapansin niyo, kaya unfair siya, hindi equal yung probabilities nila. So medyo tumagilid tayo kay 4 na mas malaki yung probability, which is 0.5. Kaya nakalagay natin is unfair die. So kung matatandaan nyo last time, di ba? Yung fair die na example natin doon, laging ang probability nila lahat is 1/6. Ganun po pagka fair die. Okay? So you need to answer these 3 questions for learning task number 2. You need to find the average number since we tried to recall a while ago the formula in finding the average or the expected value. Then you need to use that in order for you to answer question number 1. And then for question number 2, how does the assumed value of the outcome vary from the average number of dots that would appear? So dyan na po lalabas yung ating variance and standard deviation. So i-compare nyo na po dun sa naging value ninyo sa average. And then lastly, so ito medyo practical. So will you join in a game of chance using an unfair die? So kailangan nyo po yung sagutin. Ano po? So screenshot nyo po or just wait for the posting of the module sa atin pong, ang tawag dito? Sa ating Google Classroom or sa GC para dito sa learning task number 2 natin. Okay. So let's try to have a table. So kunyari meron tayong table ng random values ng random variable. So 1 to 6 and these are the probabilities. Okay? In order for us to find the expected value, 'di ba? Sabi dun sa formula, isa-isa natin itong i-multiply. 1 times 0.1 is 0.1. Then 2 times 0.1 is 0.2 and then all the rest of this, itong tapatan ni X at nung probability niya, i-multiply ninyo. Ito po lahat 'yon. Pag inad po natin itong column ng X, ng product ni X at saka ng probability niya, makukuha natin na yung summation ng X times the probability of X is equal to 3.7. So ano pong ibig sabihin yan? Ano po itong 3.7 natin na to? This is already the expected value or the mean. Ano po? So pagka table ang ginamit nyo, ayan, makikita nyo na meron na kayong makukuha dyan. So this is already the expected value. And then, ang kasunod natin kailangang hanapin para makuha natin ang variance, i-squared nyo lang po itong X. Pag sinabi natin squared, 1 times 1 equals 1. 2 times 2 equals 4. 3 times 3 equals 9, 4 times 4 equals 16, 5 times 5 equals 25, 6 times 6 equals 36. And then itong X squared na to, kailangan yung i-multiply sa corresponding probability niya. So itong dalawa po ha, itong X squared at saka P of X, i-multiply. 0.1 times 1 is 0.1, 0.1 times 4 is 0.4, 0.1 times 9 is 0.9, 0.5 times 16 is 8. 0.1 times 25 is 2.5. 0.1 times 36 is 3.6. Then pag inad ulit natin itong column na to, lalabas that the summation of the product of x squared and its probability is equal to 15.5. Anong ibig sabihin po nito? Ano itong 15.5 natin na to? Anybody? Is it the mean, the variance, or the standard deviation? Ano po ito? Anybody?
Variance po.
The variance po.
Ayan, thank you, Kirby. This is already the variance. Ano po? Yan. So kung isusulat naman natin using the formula or applying the formula, magiging ganito naman siya. So yan yung variance. Ito na siya. Yan. Yan. Gamit natin siya sa variance. Tapos ito, i-squared nyo lang. Di ba yung dalawang summation natin? So yung 15.5 na gamit natin para sa variance, ima-minus lang natin sa square ni 3.7 and that will already be your variance. Ano po? So this is just a part of computing the variance. So ibig sabihin po, final variance natin, sigma squared, which is denoted by sigma squared, is 1.81. Then finding the square root of 1.81, the standard deviation is 1.35. So ano pong ibig sabihin yan? 'Di ba ang mean natin is 3.7? So katulad nung kwento ko sa inyo last week, pag sinabi nating mean, siya yung gitna, fulcrum nung sa siso. So kung 1.35, ibig sabihin from the mean, you need to move 1.35 pa kanan, 1.35 din pa kaliwa. So, laging ganun po ha. Yan. So, yun po ang ibig sabihin niya ng sa standard deviation natin applied dun sa as compared to the average. Okay po? Kasi sabi natin, the standard deviation tells us how spread the scores are or the prices are or the probabilities are from the mean. Okay? So, may question po kayo doon? Okay. So let's continue. Okay. So ano pong ibig sabihin natin doon? Anong ibig sabihin doon sa value ng standard deviation natin at saka ng variance? So since standard deviation and variance are measures of spread or variability, lagi po nating tatandaan, the smaller the variance, the better. Ano po? Kasi kung maliit yung variance mo or yung standard deviation mo, ibig sabihin, yung value mo or yung values na nakuha mo ay tend to be closer dun sa mean. Nasa may gitna lang. Pero pagka sobrang laki ng variance ninyo or ng standard deviation, ibig sabihin the scores or the values of the random variables are spread out. Masyadong malalayo from each other. Kaya nga kung i-apply natin ito sa classroom setting, kapag pagbabasehan halimbawa natin ang isang summative test ninyo or ang quarterly scores ninyo, kapag nakuha namin doon ang standard deviation ay sobrang laki, ibig sabihin 10 point something, kunyari ganyan, so ibig sabihin malalayo ang scores ninyo from each other. Merong almost perfect, merong almost zero naman. Ano po? Ibig sabihin lang na ang isang grupo ay heterogeneous if that will be the case. Kasi masyadong spread out ang scores. But if the variance of or the standard deviation is quite small, so ibig sabihin nandun lang halos lahat sa gitna, sa middle portion or sa mean ang mga scores ninyo. So you are homogeneous if that will be the case. So yun lang po yung importante para dun sa first two modules natin on how to compute the variance, the mean, and the standard deviation and its interpretation. Do you have questions on that? Mga anak?
None po.
None. Okay, salamat. How about the others? Wala? Okay, so let me continue. Ayan. Can I have 2 volunteers na parehas na lalaki? JM, nandiyan ka anak? And si
Opo.
Rani.
Opo.
Ayan, alam kong your friends in real life. Ano? So, meron po dito, sino mag-aakas, Romulo, and then sino yung kaibigan niya?
Ako na lang po yung Romulo.
Si JM, si Romulo, and then Rani.
Hindi ako.
Ikaw si Romulo, Rani.
Opo.
O, JM, ikaw daw yung isa, ha? So, katulad nito, hey Romulo, so, ibig sabihin, ang nagsasalita nito si JM. Lagyan nyo naman ng ng emotion, ha? Yung parang tipong talaga nag-uusap kayo. And then JM, ikaw itong pangalawa. Okay po? Okay, so pakinggan natin yung dalawa. Okay, as they tell the story about the game of chance. Go, Rani and JM.
Hey Romulo, I have a problem.
Okay, so what's your problem, my friend?
Our television is no longer functional and I need to buy a new one. But I don't have enough budget for that.
Oh no! I do understand. But if you want to take a chance, I have here 5 raffle tickets out of 1,000 release tickets, which cost 100 each. If you will be lucky enough, you'll get 32-inch LED television worth of 15,000 pesos.
Continue.
That's a good deal and the price is so exciting. But I need, ma'am, di ko po mabasa.
Check, anak.
I need to check my budget before buying a ticket. Thanks for informing. I'll just call you when I'm ready to buy. By the way, when is the raffle date?
It will be 10 days from now. You will still have time to decide. Just call me if you already have your decision.
Last two lines.
Romulo.
You're welcome, Cardo.
Sinangat pa talaga si probinsyano, ano? Yan, si Cardo ka pala, JM, at saka si Rani is si Romulo. Ayan, salamat sa inyong dalawa for bringing, ano bang tawag natin doon, hustisya dito sa kwento ng Game of Chance. Ano po? So nakita nyo naman yung senaryo, si Romulo at si Cardo magkaibigan. Nagka-problema sino may problema? Si Cardo kasi nasira yung kanilang TV. Tama ba? Ay, hindi pala. Si Romulo ang nasira yung TV. Tapos, inoferan siya na bumili ng ticket. Yan. Kasi ang price doon ay yung 32 inches na LED TV. Okay. So, with this, let's try to answer this. Ate LJ. So, try to put your shoes on the shoes of Cardo. So if you are Cardo, would you buy a raffle ticket? Why? Ate LJ, nandyan ka? Ate LJ. Si boss na lang, boss. Boss Eunice.
Yes po, ma'am.
Ayan, ikaw anak, kung ikaw nasa kalagayan ni Cardo, will you buy a raffle ticket?
Yes po.
Why?
Ano lang naman po, try lang naman po kung mananalo or hindi.
Ayan, diba? So there's no harm in trying. So since it's a game of chance, so pag sinwerte ka, edi maswerte. Kung hindi naman, edi hindi. But still, in real life situations, you really need to weigh things. Ano po, you have to consider many things. So, di ba sabi, meron dong binanggit si Cardo na tingnan natin kung sakto sa budget, di ba? Kung hindi naman, ay hindi siya bibili. But in the case of Eunice, so sa kanya, bibili siya. Okay, kasi ito mayaman tong batang to, kaya ano, joke lang, Eunice. Yan, so salamat Eunice for your idea. Ano po? So depende sa atin kung bibili or hindi. Next question. Okay, if Cardo decided to buy 5 tickets, so kunyari katulad ng ano ni Eunice, bibili siya. Ang bibilhin ay 5 tickets, 'di ba? Ang isang ticket worth 100 pesos. So what is the probability that he would win the prize if 1,000 tickets were sold? Bea? Ate Bea? Abarentos? Bea? Okay, let's save. Julfa?
Yes po.
Anak, ano sa palagay mo magiging probability if Cardo will buy 5 tickets?
1/200 po ba, ma'am?
1 over?
200 po.
Okay, how did you get 1 over 200?
5/1000 po kasi 5 po yung binili po tapos 1,000 po yung overall.
Ayan. Thank you, Julfa. So, yung probability niya is 1 over 200. Ano po? Kasi bibili na yung 5 tickets out of the 1,000 tickets na pinagbenta. So, lowest term natin, 5 over 1,000 is 1 over 200. Or, para mas ma-visualize ninyo in decimals, that is equivalent to 0.005 yata. Tama ba, no? Oo. 0.005. So, tingnan nyo yung napakaliit na chance. Ano? So, 5 yung tickets na bibilhin niya, pero ganun lang yung probability. So, 1 over 200, sa bawat 200 tickets, isa lang yung chance mo para manalo. Okay? Let's have the third question. Kurt, Lajana, anak. So, how much money will Cardo gain if he wins the prize?
Hello po, narinig po ba ako, ma'am?
Oh, yes. Kurt.
Ma'am, magkano nga po ulit nung ano po? Nung price?
100 anak, 100 yung ano, tapos 15,000 yung worth nung TV.
Magkakaroon po siya ng profit po ng 14,500 po.
Yan, 'di ba? Thank you, Kurt. So magkakaroon siya ng profit na 14,500 kasi sa 15,000 ileless natin yung magagastos niya sa 5 tickets na 500. So 15,000 minus 500, 14,500 yung magigain niya. Ano po? Yun ay sa probability na 1 out of 200. Okay, thank you, Kurt. Let's have the next question. How much money will be wasted if he will not win the prize and he buy 1 ticket? O, kung isa lang yung ticket na bibilhin niya, syempre, ang mawi-waste niya ay 100 pesos lang. Ano? Tapos yung magigain naman niya is 14,900. Di ba? Medyo malaki pa rin. Kaya lang, the probability if you will just buy 1 ticket is 1 out of 1,000. So, sobrang liit naman pag isa. Di ba? So, what is 1,000 tickets? What if 1,000 tickets were purchased by different individuals? What is the expected value of buying 1 ticket? So, in this case, this is actually an example of a real-life scenario. So, pag ganitong question na, pwede na natin gamitin yung formula ng mean natin. Diba? So, pag kinuha na natin po yun, yung expected value natin, makukuha natin dito that the expected value will be equal to negative 85. So, negative value means that one loses money on the average. Ano po? Kaya kahit anong ganda ng game of chance na ipakita sa atin, it's a game of chance nga daw eh. Diba? Paswertihan na lang. So, ang pinakamaganda dyan, yan. So, dun sa scenario nakita natin kanina, how would you describe Romulo as a friend? Is he a good friend or a bad friend? Diba? Kung makikita natin, you can rely on Romulo. Why? Kasi nagkaroon ng problem si Cardo. Pero anong ginawa ni Romulo? He tried to offer that Cardo by playing the game of chance. But sa case ni Romulo, ang kagandahan, hindi siya yung pinilit. Hindi siya yung taong pipilitin si Cardo para bumili ng ticket. Kasi he lets Cardo decide kung bibili ba siya depending on the budget. Ano po? So, tandaan natin, a friend is, or a true friend is a wealth. Kaya sa mga lalo na sa panahon ngayon, kaya mga kaibigan ninyo ay inyong pagyamanin. Okay po? So, that's how we ended the discussion on discrete random variable. Meron kayong tanong, mga anak? Daphne, wala, anak?
Wala po.
Yan. Sa pulso ng bayan, wala daw, sabi ni Daphne. So, let us proceed with learning task number 3. So, screenshot nyo na rin po. So kung medyo malabo, mamaya na lang ulit sa modula. Ito yung probability of winning the first prize, probability of winning the second prize, probability of winning the third prize. So raffle tickets problem tayo, somewhat similar dun sa kaninang game of chance na ginawa ni JM, ni dramatize ni JM at saka ni Rani. Okay? So pero dito po specific that you need to complete the table for letter A, then you need to state the probability of winning the first prize, the second prize, and the third prize, and what's the probability of winning. So just take into consideration the two properties of probabilities natin, ha. Ano yung two properties ng probabilities? Na laging ang probability ay greater than or equal to 0 but less than or equal to 1. Ano po? So yung dapat lahat ay ano doon. Pag sinum up ninyo, equal to 1 yan. Ayan. So, ito po yung learning task number 3 natin, ha, mga anak. Okay na? Shall we proceed with the last module? Ayan. Last module. Ayan. This is the start of the normal random variable. So, illustrating a normal random variable and its characteristics. And here are the objectives. Define a normal random variable. Illustrate a normal random variable and its characteristics, and state and apply the concepts of empirical rule or the 68, 95, 99.7% of the distribution. Okay? So tatlo yung objectives natin dapat ma-attain after this module. So let me start my discussion on this third module by this video. So kindly watch and listen and learn also, most importantly, for this video. Wait lang natin mag-play, ha. Mga 10 o'clock magpe-play na to. Joke lang. Ayan na. So this will explain the whole discussion or the introduction of the normal random variable distribution. So sabi ko sa inyo, unstable ang internet ko ngayon, kaya medyo ikot-ikot lang. Yan ang peg ni Sarah G. Yung pala ni Ma'am Arce. Ayan. So, yan po ang bumubuo ng normal distribution discussion natin. Ano? So, lahat diniscuss na niya, the meaning of normal distribution and the properties. Okay. So, proceed ko lang sa next slide natin. Yan. So, dyan natin makikita yung normal distribution. So, ito po yung sinasabi natin kung saan natin siya pwedeng gamitin. So, in real life, makikita nyo, nakita nyo yung binigay niya example, yung lion, given the mean, the standard deviation. So, those outside the given mean, yung 150 at saka yung 250 more, yung mga outliers na tinatawag natin. Okay, kasi sabi nga po, yan, these are the properties. Pag sinabi natin unimodal, at saka ito yung normal distribution, usually, ito yung sinasabi na ang representation ng normal distribution is always a bell shape. Ano po, nakita nyo kanina, may bell siya, tapos yun yung ginamit for the curve. So, kailan tayo magkakaroon yan? Kapag sa isang distribution, the value of the mean, the median, and the mode are all equal, then we have a normal distribution. So basically, if we have a unimodal distribution, ibig sabihin there is just one mode. Kasi di ba there are cases where the mode will be 2, 3, or more. So pag isa lang, unimodal, ayan po lalabas yung ating bell shape ng curve. And then sabi, the properties are symmetric. When we say symmetric, kapag ka-finold ninyo into half, whatever is on the left side, mirror niya yung nasa right side. Ano po? So, gitna siya. And then, sabi, ang isa pang property is asymptotic. So, kung makikita ninyo po, dun sa pinakita kaninang bell shape, dun sa magkabilang dulo, there is just a very, very small chance na magkaroon kayo ng outliers. Yung almost perfect and then yung zero. Almost zero. So, di ba pag sinabi natin asymptotic, approaching lang siya but not touching the zero line or the horizontal line pag sinabi natin asymptotic. So, yan po yung tatandaan ninyo para sa properties ng normal distribution. And this one is the empirical rule. So since sabi nga natin, symmetrical siya, so kalahati, tig 50% yan. So kung makikita nyo po dito, pag inad po natin ito, this is 47.6. So yung allowance niya para mag-50 nandito sa outliers. Ano po, dito sa kabila, ganun din. So paano po tayo nag-graph niyan? From the mean, you count 1 standard deviation above and 1 standard deviation below. Kung ano man yung value ninyo ng standard deviation, add or subtract from the mean, and that will comprise the 68% of the normal distribution. So dyan po pumapatak yung 68% ng mga scores. So kung ano man yung value ninyo dito at value dito, yun po yung scores doon. And then 2 standard deviation above and 2 standard deviation below, ito naman po yun, which is 95.2. So yung 34 plus 13.6 plus 34 plus 13.6, that is 95.2% of the distribution. And if it is 3 standard deviations above or below, that is almost 99.4%. So we have an allowance of 0.6% for the outliers. Kasi sabi nga natin, one of the properties of a normal distribution is that it is asymptotic. Ano po? Kaya yung allowance na 0.6, dun po yun nakalay sa magkabilang dulo. Tig 0.3 po sila. Okay? So paano po natin siya gagawin sa mga problems? So nag-exceed na po ako ha. So medyo bilisan natin. So the scores of the senior high school students in their statistics and probability quarterly examination are normally distributed with a mean of 35 and a standard deviation. So you have to take note of these values, the mean and the standard deviation of 5. Okay, for question A, what percent of the scores are between 30 to 40? Okay, and then yung pangalawa, what scores fall within 95% of the distribution? So paano po natin gagawin yan? So pamamagitan po ng pagdodrawing natin ng normal distribution. So, tingnan natin. So, please take note yung aking mga minention kanina ha. So, magdo-drawing po tayo ng normal curve. Okay, taas ko lang. Hindi ako marunong ng ano. Wala akong ruler ha. So, pagpapasensyahan nyo na. Yan. Tapos yung bell shape natin, ay ang galing. Yan. I-perfect na lang natin dun sa module ha. Yan. Kunyari, perfectly bell-shaped siya. So anong sabi? The mean is, ano daw ang mean? 35 ba? Mga anak, 35 ano? Tapos ang sabi, standard deviation. So meron ka na agad dito na 3 hati yan. Yan, 3. Yan. And since the standard deviation is 5, tama ba? 5, yan. So ibig sabihin, from 35, magpa-plus 5 ka for 1 standard deviation above the mean. And that will be 40. Tapos add ka ulit ng 5, 45. And then add for 3 standard deviation, 50. So yan po yung mga scores sa lying on 1 standard deviation above the mean, 2 standard deviations above the mean, and 3 standard deviations above the mean pa rin. Sa kabila, below naman. So ibig sabihin, magma-minus ka naman. From the mean, minus 5, 30, minus 5 ulit, 25, minus 5 ulit, then 20. Okay? So the rest po, yung all scores below 20, nandun na siya sa outliers. All scores above 50, nandun na siya sa outlier din. Pataas naman. Okay? So ang unang tanong daw, what percent of the scores are between 30 to 40? So nasan ba yung 30 to 40? Ayan, ito yan, di ba? So 30 to 40. Sabi sa empirical rule natin, ay, what happened? Ayan. This portion is how many percent? Pag 1 standard deviation below and above the mean, ilang percent daw yon according to the empirical rule? Children,
Ma'am, 64 po ba?
dagdagi anak, Kirby.
68 po.
Yan, 68%. So yun po yung sagot natin doon sa letter A ha. Kasi ang tanong ay what percent of the scores are between 30 to 40? So since makikita ninyo doon sa normal distribution natin, nag-fall siya sa 1, ito ay negative 1 standard deviation. Ito ay 1 standard deviation. So sa empirical rule, that's 68% of the distribution. Okay po yun? Then answering question letter B, what scores fall within 95? O yung 95%, sabi natin kanina sa empirical rule ay saan pumapatak? Sa 2 standard deviations above and below the mean. Yan. Kasi sabi ay 95. Ito na yon. Diba? O, babalik tarin ko naman ang pagkaka-shade ha. Yan. Yang buong portion na yan, according to empirical rule, that is 95% already of the distribution. So ano yung scores na pumatak dun sa 2 standard deviation at sa negative 2 standard deviation? Yan. Ito po yun. So those scores from 25 to 45 ay nagpo-fall sa 95% of the distribution. Okay po yon? May tanong?
Wala po.
Wala? Dali lang ano, basta kailangan nyo lang tandaan yung empirical rule and then the properties of the normal distribution. Okay po? So kung wala po kayong tanong, let me clear this. So for the last slide, this is your learning task number 4. Ayan. So paki-screenshot po ninyo, medyo madami-dami for this week ang inyong kailangang sagutan. So for learning task 2 and 3, yung last 2 modules natin on discrete random variable, and then for your learning task 4 ay under the normal distribution. Okay na po yon? Na-screenshot na mga anak? So I'll stop sharing na. Ayan. So meron may gusto magtanong about sa discussion natin for this week. So 3 modules na kaagad po ang na-discuss natin. So pag mga nahihiya, pwede pong ano pwedeng i-chat. I-mute ko kayo lahat. O, i-unmute nyo na lang pag gusto nyo magsalita. Any question, mga anak? Madali lang lesson natin, ano? Kayang-kaya? Wala? Walang mga tanong? Silence means yes. So kung wala po kayong naging tanong, I hope na may natutunan na naman kayo for our week 3. So I'll just upload the recorded video lesson for this week para medyo marirecall ninyo. So i-upload ko po sa GC and at the same time sa Google Classroom. Ano po? So kung wala nang tanong, goodbye everyone. Have a nice week 3 and be safe always. Goodbye.
Thank you po, ma'am. Bye po.
Thank you po. Bye, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you po, ma'am.